For those of you who may have only met me through copious amounts of emails, my name is Nicole Breeden, and I am currently the head of webinar development for the Rural Development Institute. I've been lucky enough to be a part of many RPLC projects over the last 2 years, and I'm very grateful to have been chosen as the moderator for today's project wrap-up celebration. And while I know that there are many pieces to share about this amazing project, I will try to keep everyone kind of on the timeline as requested, just because we are on a bit of a time crunch with everyone. So first and foremost, I would like to thank you all for making time in your very busy schedules to join us in the celebration of the RPLC project today. In the conclusion of the project, I was asked to try and collect some information from key members and partners involved over the last several years. And in doing so, I came to realize the true impact that RPLC has had on all of our organizations across Canada. Not only has RPLC facilitated a myriad of research projects, but it has also allowed for invaluable connections and collaborative growth between countless students, staff, and organizations, as we will see today. I'm sure I can speak on behalf of everyone here that it has been an absolute pleasure being a part of this project in general. We'll first start the meeting today with a short video from Kofi Campbell, the Provost Vice President and Academic in Brandon University. Following this clip, we will have Project Coordinator Dr. Wayne Kelly go over some of the metric data regarding the RPLC project through the years. And we will then have Project Director Dr. William Ashton discuss the partnership profiles and participant awards. There will then be a brief sentiments and reflections given by various RPLC members, followed by an open floor discussion for anyone who's interested in sharing their experiences with the floor. This meeting will then be concluded with a final thank you from Dr. William Ashton and Dr. Wayne Kelly. So without further ado, I'll get us started.
I'm Dr. Kofi Campbell, and I'm the Provost and Vice President Academic at Brandon University, which is located on Treaty 1 and Treaty 2 territories in Manitoba, Canada. It is my privilege to speak to you from lands that are the traditional territory of the Anishinaabe, Cree, Oji-Cree, Assiniboine, Dakota, and Dene peoples, and the homeland of the Métis Nation. Land acknowledgements are traditionally a form of welcome. These days we gather virtually, and you may be watching this from anywhere. I encourage you to take a moment to reflect on the history of the land where you are now, the peoples who have called it home, and the relationships among the groups who live there together today. The relationships we share with each other and with the land are of course critically important to the work of the Rural Policy Learning Commons and the success you have achieved over the past 7 years. Although I am relatively new to BU, it is an honor to be here and to help you wrap up this important project. BU researchers in science, in music, health, education, and the arts contribute to advancing our world's knowledge through research, and in the process, we also provide life-changing experiences to our students. This is also at the core of the Rural Policy Learning Commons. Funding agencies and many others make research and experience possible, including Social Science and Humanities Research Council of Canada. It was funding from them that originally launched the Rural Policy Learning Commons. But it took a larger team and a significant vision to bring this partnership to life. We connected colleagues from Canada, the US, Mexico, and Europe across 5 time zones, bridging language differences and linking nearly a dozen different academic disciplines. The architects of this project were also entrepreneurs and agents of engagement. Besides the $2.5 million in original SSHRC funding, project leaders invited contributions from nearly 30 university partners. The funder hoped that $875,000 would come in. But over the next 7 years, you collectively added another $3.6 million, cash and in kind, more than quadruple what was expected. Very well done. This project was hosted here at BU and housed at our Rural Development Institute. We are proud that the Rural Policy Learning Commons has been not just an advocate for the vibrancy and essentialness of rural areas, but that throughout the project, we have exemplified the same by featuring so many rural-based researchers. The Institute's director, Dr. Bill Ashton, was a leader in the proposal development and at the helm as an enabler and encourager over the 7 years. He joined with others, many of them students from BU, who coordinated, administered, and tracked activities, progress, and success. One of the greatest achievements is the sharing of knowledge from the research by faculty and students. In total, more than 617 publications, including books, chapters, reports, and articles, resulted from this project. Another great achievement are the webinars and the project YouTube channel, where knowledge will remain available for future generations of scholars. The project intended and achieved a significant goal. We demonstrated that students can make a career choice by examining rural issues and providing evidence for public policies. In short, this project continues the work and efforts at RDI in growing rural researchers. It is my joy and my privilege to say thank you to all those who made these achievements come to life. I hope students continue to make a career choice in favor of rural development. Thank you for strengthening and growing rural researchers, adding new knowledge, connecting rural areas around the globe, and informing rural policies that will benefit the world's vibrant and growing rural areas. Thank you.
And now I will hand it over to Wayne Kelly, who will go over some metric data over the last several years of the RPLC project.
Perfect. Thanks, Nicole. Just wanted to say it's fantastic to see everybody here, both right back from 2013, 2014 when we started the project to recent participants. It's so great to see everyone. In the chat, I think everyone's starting to do it. Just if you can sort of identify who you are, where you're from, because not everybody knows each other, and how you're involved in RPLC, that'll be fantastic. We are actually recording this, and we're going to make this viewable online on the website and on YouTube after the project or after the event. So I just want to take a couple minutes just to sort of talk about all of the impacts, all of the things that have happened through RPLC. Dr. Kofi Campbell, that was a great video of his. He did steal a bit of my thunder, I have to admit, as I was making notes. Some of the things he talked about are already in the infographic. I really did want to bring attention to two real sort of key pieces. One is the partnerships and the networks and sort of the diversity of people and organizations that were engaged. And so you can see that not only were people, partner organizations, universities, institutes, nonprofits, even Chagas, the ag department for Ireland was involved. So we have a really diverse group of partners, but we actually over contributed to the project in terms of what SSHRC was expecting. SSHRC was expecting us to contribute about 35% of the total project funds, which works out to about 800,000. You can see that we actually, not only did we smash that expectation, we actually exceeded SSHRC's contributions as well, and that's fantastic. And that's from the diverse partners around the table. And you can see that the contributions came from like 28 different institutions, 23 universities, NGOs, government organizations. 17 of those were Canadian, and really impressively 11 were international. So that's amazing. The other thing I really want to just sort of highlight, this is just a couple of minutes of just sort of highlighting if you can go to the next slide, Nicole, was the amount of student support. So we did hear about some of the webinars. So that's just quickly, there's 96 webinars. There's about another 20 or 30 other videos on the RPLC YouTube channel. I think it's amazing that we planned on having 25. They were so well received and so well done that we nearly hit 100. We had 2,700 participants and 30,000 YouTube views to date of those webinars, which is just fantastic. But in terms of student support, one of the things that we're really proud of and has been really a core part of our RPLC is that student support. And so we've provided support directly. So this is just directly and through Brandon University to students, to 123 students, both for employment and for travel. And we've supported students of all types, undergrad, masters, PhD, postdocs, and across different countries as well. And in terms of the travels, before COVID, we had supported 100 student trips, both in Canada and internationally. Most of those international trips is Canadian students going internationally, but there definitely, most of the Canadian trips is Canadian students traveling in Canada, but we do have a handful of international students traveling to Canada, whether for the knowledge mobilization training in St. John's, if I remember correctly, just narrowly missing a blizzard. But we also have, students coming for research and exchanges to Brandon in the middle of winter, which is really impressive from Italy, and in other experiences and events. And the last piece is just, and I know it's a little bit hard to read, but if you look at the different student roles down on the bottom right there, students weren't just supported to go to conferences. Students weren't just employed sort of as research assistants. Students did a fantastic variety of roles across RPLC, including myself. I finished my PhD this year, and it was a fantastic match to be able to be part of this big network, learning about rural policy, learning about rural research from everybody on this call and everybody that we've engaged with. And so we had students as coordinators, we had students as network supports, as policy brief writers, as conference attendees, as research and exchange recipients, even as video producers, doing a fantastic job producing videos in terms of what the rural development of rural means to them. So it's just been a really great project. It's been amazing in terms of the variety of ways that we've had faculty and students engaged. And I think I'm probably hitting my time limit there, Nicole. I just wanted to just sort of emphasize, we've been spending the last few months, Bill and Nicole and Elida and I, sort of putting together all of these these stories and these metrics for RPLC. And we just wanted to take a few minutes to be able to share some of the things that stood out. So there's a lot more behind this, but these are some of the highlights. So.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Wayne. And next we will have Dr. William Ashentalk discussing the partnership awards. Whenever you're ready, Bill, you can begin your.
Thanks. Thanks, Nicole, and thanks, Wayne, for the numbers. I'm going to talk a little bit about sort of the final communications that we've got. When we've tried to do a couple things in terms of the brainstorming, the wrap up. One is this hour and a half or hour or so, but also try to give a bit of a legacy. And we tried to do, first of all, we wanted to sort of give an academic boost to be able to figure out how to do that. And then secondly, absolutely to say thank you. And we had different audiences. We had partners, often with senior management of organizations that we wanted to say thanks. And then also the faculty and students and other individuals. So we devised, if you will, an international award. So if you were a faculty or student, and if you want to build your CV, no better way than having a recognized international award to do that. And a huge thanks. So we created profiles. If you can just go to the next page or next slide, we created profiles that actually existed at 4 pages long. So this is an example of Simon Fraser. The first page is going to be opened by their VP, so it's going to be hard copy. If you can imagine, we're going to use snail mail to send these things. And the hard copy, first of all, says thank you very much. Congratulations to the university organization. It talks about the importance of people, and then it starts looking at impacts. And so for Simon Fraser universities and for each of our 13, 14 partners that have contributed over the 7 years, we then give your vice president or senior management an indication of the kind of things that faculty and students did at each of the universities and organizations. The second page, and I won't go through all the details, but the second page of the profile then moves into some of the financial contributions from the university. The third page goes into who was involved, so names. And the final page is a kind of a summary of all of the impacts, and many of the things that Wayne just talked about are on the very last page. So the hope is that each of us, our senior management, will have within a couple weeks a printed version of this award for the university. And here are the names of the partners. And if you go to the next slide, Nicole, then there's the individual awards. And again, I'm picking on Sean because he's pretty pickable. He's on the West Coast and he's just waking up, so I'm hoping he doesn't mind. And so what we wanted to do is to have something that stood out on the wall if these were going to be framed. So the graphic was important. A fair bit of conceptual work went into the graphic. It's just not randomly picked. We can talk about that later. And then what are we celebrating? We're celebrating the excellence in leadership or whatever the individual contributed to RPLC. And then it's dated by and made official with the vice president's signature on it as well. And so we're just so happy to be able to, I think, leave this piece of work 7 years, almost 8 years, in terms of what we fashioned collectively together to say just a huge thank you to everyone. And if you go to the next slide, Nicole, there's a list of,
I'm so sorry.
That's right, a list of faculty that received the individual awards. Each one of them were customized. And then to the next one, Nicole.
Yeah.
Oh, maybe I lost. Slide talks about the individual award. Well, maybe we've lost Nicole. Can you still hear me?
Yes, yeah, sorry.
Okay. So the individual award, one was faculty and the other one is student. So Cameron, sorry for picking on you as well. But again, each one of them were customized. A group of us sat through trying to figure out what were the contributions for each individual, and then what does that mean in terms of the actual statement as well. And you can then just go to the list, Nicole, if you could. And 7 years, again, the list is long, for partners, for faculty and for participants. Of the list, I'd like to go through all the names, but I do want to identify 2 people in particular, if I would, without embarrassment. One is well, maybe 3 for sure, but one is Wayne for all of his work. He's been here at RDI for 10 years and nearly the entire duration of this project. So just a huge thanks to that. I wanted a shout out to Elida. She's on board today. She's our graphic artist. She's the one that has taken the idea of having a piece of art that should be on somebody's wall in terms of shaping that graphic that's on the left-hand side of these and conceptually putting all of this material together. So just a huge thanks for doing that. And also for Bev Lishka. She's our longtime connection to RDI and to this project. She's the one that helped get all of our CVs online at the very beginning of this, when it was just a murderous piece of software from the federal government in terms of our SHRC CVs. Of those, I just, we see a sense of the numbers from Wayne, a sense of thanks in terms of how we want to acknowledge it. But that's not the story. That's not all the story for RPLC. I think we want to now turn to individual efforts and individual impact. So I'll turn it back to Nicole. So thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Bill. I am so very sorry on the technical issues on my end. For the reflections and future thoughts, we will first be hearing from Dr. Kathleen Kavani. So whenever you are ready, feel free to take yourself off mute, Kathleen.
Super. Thank you, Nicole. And thank you to everyone. And hello, friends. So great to see everyone today. So money to us is not the root of all evil. Money has been the instrument for making a difference and to help us GSD, that is get stuff done. So I'm privileged to offer some reflections today on what the RPLC and the critical funds and friends have meant to the premier national rural organization, CRF, Canadian Rural Revitalization Foundation. So I'm going to offer a few highlights of many of the components of this critical and valuable alliance. For this recent rural conference, just headed up by our very capable Dr. Kyle Rich, we were able to exceed our expectations because of funds made available through RPLC that were channeled to help with the coordination via the Rural Research Centers network. And the partnership with CDEC and SURF was a real profound success. The speakers at this past conference were some of the finest combinations of really diverse voices and perspectives and approaches to rural innovation and prosperity. It was so inspiring. And over the years, we have seen the state of rural Canada expand and become a voice for rural and a trusted document for policymakers. And funds from RPLC have been able to this to have the extension and the reach and the coordination as a result of investment of funds. As well, the SURF Rural Insight series on COVID-19, headed up by the very capable Ashley Whedon, has also become possible because of funding from RPLC. And also with Ashley's help, we've had support that extended RPLC to the SURF Alliance. So Ashley was able to help do an outreach to all parties leading up to the election of 2021. And we were asking, what would you do for rural? And we were also introducing to all of the parties across Canada how SURF can be of help to them and how are they going to help rural. And we've been so fortunate to tap into Katie Allen's many talents in supporting the Rural Research Centers network. And the board of SURF has moved to support and adopt this as a continuing important function and network that it will continue to support going forward. And the work of Katie Allen and Dr. Sarah Minnis were pivotal in supporting SURF and the RPLC Alliance to have been a significant instrument in leveraging this critical partnership. And I would say on behalf of SURF that we are so proud to take up this critical and so influential legacy of RPLC. Who wouldn't want to? All the good work that's already been done, and SURF gets to carry it on. Katie also has been heading up the strategic directions and planning for the next phase for SURF. And this space for embedding the lasting legacy of RPLC has been made possible with resources from the RPLC network. So RPLC brought to life networks across Canada, the US, Mexico, Europe, and beyond. And researchers across these networks have been connected and brought together to make really profound differences and meaningful relationships. And SURF's been able to benefit from RPLC workshops, seminars, online forum, all of the lists that Wayne just gave us. And this reach and influence of RPLC and SURF would not have been possible without the leadership of Dr. Bill Reimer, the patriarch of envisioning more connected, vibrant, and engaged rural society. Students have been pivotal also to advance this work, and RPLC funds still have made SURF operate even smoothly today, thanks to the work undertaken currently by John Dale and previously by Sean Jeffrey. What an asset that has been to have some administration and some support enabling us to keep our institutional memory. So the list of students who benefited from RPLC funding through SURF is long, and I just put out a big thanks and a shout out to them all. So this year we were able to celebrate Dr. Rob Greenwood for his lifetime contributions to rural Canada. And he joins a tremendous team of ambassadors of what is significant in Canadian identity, our rural well-being. And SURF has benefited greatly from the funds from RPLC, but what will be most lasting, I think, is our friendships. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Kathleen, for sharing. Next up, we have Ashley Whedon. Oh, Ashley, whenever you're ready, you can go ahead.
Hi, everyone, and congratulations to absolutely everyone involved with the RPLC in an amazing 7 years that I have been very lucky to be an interloper for the last sort of 3 and a beneficiary of your incredible wisdom and connections and insight. And I have to say that there's very little that I'm going to be able to say that will be any more illuminating than Kathleen preceding me and Bill following me. So what an unfair position to be in terms of that regard, as well as the list of wonderful people that are also set to speak and who can share their reflections. So I'll keep it really brief, uncharacteristically for myself. But The participation and support of the RPLC in my own academic career and coming back from a decade of being a practitioner and sort of bridging these two strange worlds has been absolutely critical to supporting my nascent success in advancing my own goals of wanting to contribute to making the world a better place. And I think that it's a great testament to the work that the RPLC does to connect such brilliant minds to continue doing that good work and advancing that project of using what we have to contribute to important conversations, whether it is the most recent shocks around navigating the ongoing COVID-19 pandemic, how we're going to deal with climate change, what it looks like to manage sustainable food systems, how we work together in collaborative and cooperative networks, and simply how we get the right information into the hands of decision makers. The work that the RPLC has done over the last 7 years has not only built connections amongst international scholars, but advanced the project of getting that wealth of information into the hands of the people that need it. I've been incredibly lucky to be supported by the RPLC through a research and mobility grant, which allowed me to complete fieldwork for my dissertation in Scotland, both through the actual funding and through the connection to the people that could support my learning and help me ask good questions, help me find the people that I needed to talk to learn about the things that I was most interested in. The RPLC has helped me develop important networking and skill building processes through field schools like ICERPs, through support to attend other field schools like the European Regional Science Association and OECD Winter School in Italy, through conferences here in Canada and abroad, and has also provided critical platforms for knowledge mobilization through allowing me to practice thinking out loud on webinars and events. But most importantly, as Kathleen ended her remarks with, this network has brought me some of my very favorite people and co-conspirators, people that I look forward to a long and wonderful career of writing and working together. And certainly a major shout out to my own advisors on my dissertation committee, Ryan and Sean, as well as one of my consistent and favorite co-writers in Wayne, and all of the other people that help us all get up to good trouble in terms of making the world the picture of what we want to see it. So congratulations to everyone who has worked to make this possible. I have been so very fortunate to benefit from not only material support, but more importantly from critical guidance, mentorship, support, laughter, humor when it was most needed, kindness when it was most needed, and I don't think that I'll ever be able to repay you all. So thank you so very much. Congratulations. And on to the next. I can't wait to see what everyone accomplishes next.
Thank you so much, Ashley. Next we have Dr. Bill Reimer. So Bill, whenever you're ready, go ahead.
Okay, I think I am unmuted. It is wonderful to see all of the faces on the screen and hear again the stories that are associated with them. When I was asked about reflections on the RPLC, my thoughts for celebration went back to the 1980s, if you can imagine. It's not a surprise. I'm the archivist for SURF, and I've been going through boxes of materials. But when I started to look at the legacy that the RPLC drew upon, I could see all sorts of really exciting features that were built over those many years, the work of SURF. Way back in the 1980s, there was a group of us who were interested in some of the major changes that were taking place in rural places. And we wanted to know what were the extent of these changes, what was causing them, what can we expect from the future, and what kind of options might be possible. Well, there wasn't much being done on that. In fact, there wasn't much information being done. So at that point, we decided, well, we're going to have to do it ourselves. And so we initiated a series of meetings and workshops and conferences and projects that continue to today. And in the process, of course, we learned so much about working with a large network We learned about how to have meetings. We learned about how to collaborate and how do we deal with a diversity that we wanted to include. Those early days were characterized by many of the features that we see in the RPLC today. We had a wide variety of different kinds of people who were involved: researchers, policymakers, practitioners, community members. We were involved with the communities in which we were engaged with them. We started the program of annual conferences and decided we would always hold them in rural and remote places, which was a feature, I think, that has gone very far in making what SURF was and what the RPLC was today's. We left the organization of the meetings to the local community, and we collaborated right from the beginning with local communities. We had international networks, and our vision was very much international in scope. We included local tours so that when we went to various places, we would look around and invite local people to show us some of the things that they had been challenged by and some of the actions that they had taken. You'll recognize these features in RPLC activities today. As urbanization continued in Canada and governments were more preoccupied with urban issues and challenges, we ended up then trying to figure out how do we deal with rural and remote issues under these circumstances. And one of the first things we decided was, well, if we're going to have to do it ourselves, we're going to have to get the information required. And that led us to the development of projects. One of the most important in our legacy is the New Rural Economy Project. This was a 11-year project. It involved 32 rural communities from across the country. We worked with those communities over the 11 years. We gathered information. We were similarly well-funded by SHRC and our partners in a way that is reminiscent of the kinds of activities that the RPLC has followed through on.
I'm so sorry, Bill. We're just kind of running out of time. I do ask, would you be able to maybe shorten to the conclusion? I'm so sorry.
That's okay. Okay, I recognize the problem of my verbosity and the many exciting things that I wanted to talk about. In general, though, what happened, so the legacies that from the NRE, New Rural Economy Project, ended up contributing to the recognition of the importance of local community capacity and their social support for the local communities. And once again, that's, I think, a legacy that carried over to the RPLC. And the RPLC emerged out of a recognition of the value of partnerships, of working with people who are already involved in issues relating to the development of rural issues. And I think that what is exciting for me as well is to see that the RPLC and its many accomplishments are just another stage, in a way, along this trajectory towards improving conditions for rural places. And I look forward to seeing what legacies will emerge out of that when we're faced with the new challenges of climate change, for example, food, the challenges of working across and collaborating across international boundaries, and some of the issues that Ashley had mentioned, for example. So my celebration of the RPLC is as a part of this long-term development, the long-term working of people coming up with new and important issues of the day and building on the basis of the many things that we've learned over the previous many decades. So thanks very much for allowing me to sort of go on a little bit here. And you can certainly rest assured I am celebrating out here in Vancouver after seeing the wonderful, wonderful things that have emerged from our dreams many years ago. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Bill. We really appreciate it. Next, we have Cameron Gooden. So whenever you're ready, go ahead, Cameron.
Thank you. So my name is Cameron Gutchen. I'm a PhD candidate in the School of Resource and Environmental Management at Simon Fraser University. I've been involved with the RPLC for the last 3 years or so. My main role with the RPLC has been a member of the Evaluation Committee, but I also attended and presented at the SURF/RPLC conference in St. John's, thanks to an RPLC research and exchange grant. Attended the ICERPS event in Finland back in 2019, and then also presented an RPLC webinar. And I think there have been numerous benefits associated with getting involved with the RPLC. First has been the people that I've met and had the pleasure of working with and learning from. So working with my senior supervisor, Sean Markey, and my committee supervisor, Ryan Gibson, has been just fantastic. Getting to work with the RPLC Evaluation Committee and getting to know all those guys has been really rewarding. So Bill, Marco, Wayne, Excelia, and Sean, I feel like I've learned a lot from all of them. And as a bonus, they're all really fun to work with. And then getting a chance to interview various senior members of the RPLC for the evaluation was also really interesting and rewarding. And so thanks again to all of you that participated. I can see a lot of you are on this call. Another benefit is just the skills that I was able to develop with my work with RPLC. So learning to use in vivo, conducting interviews, working in a team, writing reports and all that. And I think all of that has been really extremely helpful for future projects and employment. But I think arguably the biggest benefit for me personally was that the opportunity to join the RPLC was a major factor in my decision to pursue a PhD. And had it not been for the funding opportunity provided by the RPLC, I most likely wouldn't be pursuing a PhD, I think, at this point in time. I'm sure I'm not alone in this sentiment, and that the RPLC has afforded many students with the opportunity to pursue post-grad education. And I believe the RPLC is responsible for helping train, educate, and inspire the next generation of rural researchers. So thanks so much for having me today, and thanks for letting me join the RPLC. It's been an honor. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Cameron. Up next, we have Brent Steele. Brent, whenever you're ready, go ahead.
Okay, I'd like to thank the two Bills and Bill Reimer. Every time I think of you, I think about Canada Day and you singing the national anthem. I can't get it out of my head. At ICERPS. And then Bill Ashton, it's been wonderful to work with you. Wayne, it's been awesome. Nicole, Lydia, and Bev, I've thoroughly enjoyed working with you and with everyone on the team. I very much, we had 4 students visit us to do research, comparative rural research here. So we had 2 students from Bologna, one from Guelph and one from Scotland. It was totally awesome working with them. At first, one of the students from Bologna, I think it was the last one, Margarita, showed up on campus and she was studying hazelnut or filbert waste. And she's trying to compare Oregon. We grow like 99.9% of all filberts from the US. And she's comparing it to Italy, and she showed up and she did her first 3 interviews with 3 large corporate farms. And they told her, well, we just haul all the waste to the landfill. And so I remember her coming to my office with tears streaming down her face. And then we put her in contact with the organic farmers and stuff. So things worked out pretty well then. But it was kind of an awesome experience. I've really very much enjoyed working with this group. I call myself a Southern Canadian. As some of you know, I grew up next to the Canadian border in Washington State and spent most of my childhood in British Columbia, Yukon, Northwest Territories, and Alberta. I wrote my master's thesis on the Parti Québécois, and I actually got to do an interview. I got a government grant from Canada to do, and did an interview with René Lebec. I'm still worried about my lungs. He smoked at least one pack of cigarettes during my interview when I was a master's student. But once again, I've very much enjoyed being part of this process, and it's been, RLPC has helped us leverage a lot of resources on campus here, and also helped us leverage a lot of USDA grant money over the years. So we've developed the only rural policy concentration in our PhD program, our Masters of Public Policy program, and we have a brand new Executive Masters of Public Policy program. They all have rural policy concentrations. We also have a brand new BS, Bachelor of Science of Public Policy. It has the only rural concentration in the United States. And we just launched a graduate certificate in rural policy, and all of these are on campus and online. And it's really helped us attract a lot of international students. It's helped us make connections and network even beyond the RLPC. And so it's been a wonderful experience, and things are looking up. And I just want to thank you all. A lot of you have helped me and help with sponsoring, writing letters for grants and helping students and stuff. So I deeply appreciate my interactions with this, and it's kind of a little sad that this is ending now, but I'm hoping that we all keep in contact with each other. Thanks.
Thank you so much, Brent. Next, we have Lydia Carrillo. Whenever you're ready, Lydia.
Yeah, thank you. It's very nice to see you all here, but at the same time, it's very sad that this is coming to the end. For me, RPLC helped me a lot because was the first year for RPLC was in 2014, the first ISERPs in Mexico that we had, and the organization and to have more people that we expected was RPLC made easier, because the funds and as the money runs easy, everything is easier, right? I was part of some teams in RPLC, like the Institute and Migration, which were great. I have now a good network to work with in migration, which is my topic for my research. Was a really pleasure to work with all people. Especially, I want to thank Bill, the two Bills, Bill Ashton to organize lots of things, Bill Reimer also to organize, but also to sing some nice songs during the ISERPs. Remember him, the paddle on something? Was great. Wayne, of course, Wayne Kelly. Perhaps I'm going to not to remember all of them, but of course, Ryan. And the last, I think, 7 summer schools we have, that's the legacy we have from RPLC, the networks, the webinars, the publications. For Mexico, RPLC was very important because we can found 14 people. Mexico is not a rich country, so people, it's not easy for them to pay for the courses, the international courses, especially. And now we have around 14 people with PhD degrees. And one of the things that I realized in their thesis is that they add a section in the thesis about comparison, about how to compare different realities, different cases, which perhaps before going to ISERP, before having this facility to go to these courses and to attend seminars were not into their way of thinking. And I think it's one of the things that it's good, and that the benefit for them and for me. And so I think it's all I have to say. Thank you all to you that made my life easier for these 7 years. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Lydia. And we do have a message from Katie Allen. Unfortunately, she couldn't be here today, but we did get a chance to record her short message, so we'll get that started.
I'm sorry I can't be there with you today to celebrate all the great work and wonderful people that are part of the RPLC. Nicole has graciously recorded this video for me, so thank you, Nicole. It is an honor to speak to some of the opportunities I've had because of the RPLC. So I've had the tremendous opportunity to work with leaders in rural research and scholarship through the networks within the RPLC, through the Rural Research Centers Network, the R2CN. I've been able to help foster communities of practice. I've been able to connect with, learn from, and work collaboratively with rural leaders to amplify meaningful and impactful rural research across Canada and beyond. An opportunity not many emerging scholars have, and one I am incredibly grateful for. The generous support from the RPLC through the RPLC Surf Alliance provided resources for Surf to engage in envisioning sessions and strategic planning. And this process has been incredibly valuable to Surf and to all of those involved throughout the process as we chart our next big steps and map out the future strategic goals and priorities for Surf. And over the past several years, the RPLC has been an invaluable support to emerging scholars like me. It provided opportunities to work closely with leaders and mentors, amplified important research in rural communities, and importantly, built the networks and relationships to further our collective work and influence into the future. And so with those few words, I will wrap up and end with a very sincere thank you.
And we will be a little out of order, but next speaking, we have Dr. Ryan Gibson. So Ryan, whenever you are ready, go ahead.
Hi, thanks, Nicole, for that. And great to see everyone and great to be virtually present together. I wanted to take an opportunity to reflect on the work undertaken by Bill Reimer on this particular project. And this is something that when I was first asked to reflect on Bill's role, I was a bit lost for what to say. What do you say about Bill's involvement over the years? And so it truly was at a loss to say, but from our infancy to our countless achievements, Bill's fingerprints are absolutely everywhere. And as Bill noted, the RPLC proposal was built on many years, on considerable time, effort, and dedication that brought together this initiative, our networks, and our experiences. Time doesn't allow me to provide the serenade of accolades that are truly justifiable for Bill's contributions, but I wanted to highlight three that Bill, as our founding director, provided that have continued to reverberate throughout this initiative, but also, I know from my own perspective, I've kind of bottled some of those perspectives and tried to engage them in other areas that I'm working on. First, I think one of Bill's tremendous contributions has been to foster a culture of bridging multiple interests, multiple institutions, and multiple communities to support rural prosperity. The time and energy required to build, to maintain, and to enhance this kind of proverbial large tent is tremendous. And we continue to reap the rewards of that culture that has been created. And as I work with other colleagues in other areas, I start to realize how incredibly spoiled I've been that I've been able to emerge in this culture that Bill has created, because it's not necessarily a culture that exists in other disciplines and in other topic areas and other work that we do. And so it's always reassuring and incredibly empowering to come back to know that this culture of bridging that has been created and fostered is truly benefiting rural communities, rural researchers, rural policy at the end of the day. I think the second piece I would take away from Bill's contributions has been an encouragement to foster an environment of self-reflection. And throughout all of our work on RPLC initiatives, whether it's iSerps, whether it's the research and exchange programs, whether it is our work with government policymakers, Bill has fostered and encouraged us to be self-reflective, to learn and to examine what we've been doing, what's worked well, maybe what hasn't worked well, and encouraged us all to try new things. And when they don't work, to celebrate that they didn't work and to learn from what maybe didn't work so that we can improve the next iteration of it. And again, that environment of reflection has been tremendous. And the third, and this has been spoken to by a number of folks already, is that Bill has mentored emerging scholars, community leaders, policy analysts, whether it be from our own individual research projects to larger initiatives, to pep talks, to troubleshooting, to providing knowledge and resources. I'm amazed and somewhat get frustrated by the way in which you can build back into your memory to pull out key pieces of literature and scholars that have been maybe overmissed or need to be re-examined. That has just been a tremendous asset. So I could go on about the contributions that Bill has been making to this initiative, but at the end of the day, his fingerprints can be found all across this project. And it's exciting to think about how these fingerprints will continue to influence the next generation of rural policy analysts and rural researchers, the next rural research initiatives, and ultimately the future prosperity of rural communities across this country, in Canada, as well as internationally. So with that, I'll maybe tie up my comments, but provide a sincere thank you, Bill, for all of your work, your leadership in this partnership. And as you can see on the screen there, a wonderful small token of recognition of all of that you've contributed.
Thank you so much, Ryan. And next we have Sean Markey. So Sean, whenever you are ready, you can go ahead.
Great, thanks very much, Nicole. Such a pleasure to see everyone on the call this morning. Thank you all for your incredible contributions over the last 7 years. This is a bit of a wrap-up event, but it's important to acknowledge that there's still work going on for RPLC. That doesn't just mean all the partnerships and projects and student thesis work and everything else that there are legacies associated with this work, but the evaluation committee is hard at work. Wayne is drafting SHRC reports and everything else. So, some of my comments are reflective of the information that we've gathered. Cameron mentioned all the interviews he did with many of you. So we're trying to honor that work and honor the wisdom that you conveyed through that. Some of the real highlights that people consistently talk about, and we've already heard as well this morning, is how the project has built policy capacity that will last a generation. Incredibly impactful. And that's at all levels, right? We've talked a lot about young scholars and students, but I think everyone who's participated in this project has built their policy capacity. I know for myself, going back to 2014, it's not something that I was particularly good at. I'd show up at policy events. I'd show up at, always answer the call, right? I think SURF has always done that over the years. They answer the call when those things come up. But I think the level of sophistication that we're bringing to that work is incredibly enhanced through this project. Just personally, I know for the last few days, I'm like, where are those federal mandate letters? Come on, you have a cabinet. Where are the mandate letters? So, that looking for that and digging for that is a direct result of this. Secondly, people have talked overwhelmingly about the incredible students and young scholars that were a part of RPLC and the incredible contributions that they've made, the faith that they have in their skills to carry on the project of rural development, rural policy in this country and internationally. Others and a number of people spoke about the power of the facilitation function, and importantly also dollars. Even small amounts of dollars going out in a vast variety of directions has made a huge difference to projects, to pulling people together, to engagement activities that used to take place off the side of people's desks. We built real capacity for being able to do that. And lastly, I just wanted to comment on the pride, and I think something that we can all feel incredibly good about is how we've adapted over the last year and a half or so in light of the pandemic. Decisions were made very early on to prioritize graduate student support. All of the funding that we knew we weren't going to be able to spend to get people together and have those incredible sort of in-person events that I think would have been incredibly impactful. All of those plans that we had, those are certainly lost opportunities, but I think we can all feel a tremendous amount of pride in how we adapted over the last year and a half and really made priorities to get the funding that we did have into the hands of graduate students to support their excellent work, to support them during times when work, employment, and other opportunities were in short order. So I just wanted to mention that as well. So thanks very much, everyone. And Bill, Ashton, it's my great pleasure to summarize and represent the tremendous thanks from everyone associated with this project over the last 7 years to you. I know RPLC was well ahead of the curve on Zoom and connecting people online through Zoom. I think if we'd actually managed to use just a little bit of our project budget to buy Zoom shares, we probably could have funded RPLC work for the next 100 years. Right, another 100 years of 7 a.m. Meeting calls on the West Coast. That's what I had to look forward to. But I think Bev could have figured out a way to do that, right? I'm sure someone would have signed off on that at BU. Anyway, we were ahead of the online curve, but very, very importantly, Bill, you provided a home for RPLC, and you grounded the project, not just physically, but also in terms of bringing that sense of belonging, that sense of connection to the project. You guided and supported tremendous staff. Huge congrats to Wayne and Nicole, and I see Michael's on the call, which is fantastic. And all the incredible students and people that you worked with and helped lead at Brandon was just an incredible service to the project and a real testament to your leadership abilities. The other thing that I've sort of drawn out from a lot of the interviews and the wisdom of the collective is a great sense of gratitude that RPLC didn't really have an ego. That's come up a number of times, and the project had a distributed leadership model baked into it, but overall I think was just genuinely interested in doing the right thing and supporting good work that was taking place wherever that happens to be. And, again, I think your leadership style and the way that you led this project and participated and designed the project right from the very beginning had a lot to do with that, very impactful sense of how RPLC operated. So on behalf of the whole crew here, congratulations and huge thanks to all the work that you've done.
Thank you so much, Sean. I will just stop the screen share and open the floor. We have about 20 minutes of open floor time. So if there's anybody who would like to speak up to their experience with RPLC or have final comments, please feel free. The floor is yours. So go ahead. Yes, yeah, Francesca, you can go ahead.
Hi, everyone. I'm very happy to be here with all of you. And as Matteo wrote in the chat, I can't believe that more than 8 years ago, we were all together in Bertinoro planning RPLC proposal since the other days. And I'm thankful to have been involved in RPLC from different perspectives. Besides the project proposal, I was collaborating to the governance team, and then I was involved as a co-lead in a research and exchange team, and last but not least, as a member of the executive council. And as research and exchange team, I'm very happy that we could issue several research grants to many students in order to carry out their activities, their research in the fields. And even as a member of the Executive Council, I have appreciated contributing in the project implementation and management from and having how can I say a transversal overview of all the different activities. And another point I have appreciated is related to the different perspective I've got from RPLC, because as working as a research manager at the University of Bologna, I'm used to European programs which have a more defined structure, defined activities with several deliverables that you have to implement, while RPLC has had a more fluid structure, I would say, with the activities to be implemented step by step. So from one side, this different approach could appear more disorientating, but on the other side, we have had more opportunity to plan new activities and new actions. And to conclude, I have appreciated the creation of this big and international network, the enhancement of human resources, and even the opportunities RPLC has provided to myself and to the University of Bologna. And I'm happy that the legacy will, RPLC legacy will continue with SURF. So thanks again, and happy to be part of this network.
Thank you so much, Francesca. Is there anyone else who would like to speak on behalf of the RPLC project? Yeah, Gabino, go ahead. Oh, I'm so sorry, Gabino, you're just muted.
Yeah, I think now it's okay. I just want to say thank you to allow me to participate in this project. It was very helpful for me, because now we have here another perspective about what is rural. So it's very complicated to define something, but it's good for me, and especially the experience to share with you my experience and to hear your experience is very nice, and also the most important thing is that we make a very huge contribution for the young researchers, especially students. So I am quite happy, and I wish all the best for you, and we are continue working, because we have make proposals with Michael and with Ryan, etc. So thank you very much, and be happy.
Thank you so much, Gabino. Mark, go ahead.
Yeah, hi there. Just to say, from a Concordia perspective, thanks very much to the RPLC for the opportunities granted for people like myself to get involved. When I first joined Concordia, Bill had the office next to me, and I think that kind of circulating in his orbit, I think, sucked me in to his projects, and also to his way of working. Just the level of collaboration and the level of kind of dignity and respect that he brings to his relations with people is something that I've always looked up to, and I think that's also been reflected very much in how the RPLC works too over the years. So it's been a great pleasure to work with Sean and Dr. Kelly and Ryan and everyone else. So we've done a small part of the project through our own work here, but just in terms of bringing students also to several RPLC surf meetings and other venues, it's really opened my eyes to the world of rural research, and it was only because of the RPLC that I've had this kind of exposure. So just from a personal perspective, I'd like to express my thanks.
Thank you so much, Mark. Mohammed, if you'd like to speak, you can go ahead.
Yeah, thank you so much to RPLC. So actually, I got around 3 projects from RPLC that was related to my thesis work, and I also awarded for the travel grant. So that's why I'm always grateful to the RPLC. I believe that it was really amazing for me, particularly for the students, because it actually gives us the opportunities to build the good networking, to learn about the rural community, particularly in aspects of the Canada. So I believe that the RPLC will continue, and they will give us the more funding and also arrange the more some skill development opportunities for us, particularly for the students and young researchers. Again, thankful to the RPLC.
Thank you so much. Was anyone else wanting to speak a bit to the RPLC project at all? We have some time, so. All right. Well, if those were all the
something, Nicole, if that's
yeah.
okay.
Oh, absolutely.
Please allow me to. But thank you to everybody. I just wanted to hop on and see people, because all of you are such wonderful people, and I miss Skyping and Zooming with you all on the regular. But thank you so much for all the professional development and the mentorship and the leadership opportunities. I certainly wouldn't be on the career trajectory that I'm on right now if it wasn't for all of you. And I definitely echo that being in Bill Reimer's orbit is pretty life-changing and great for people. So thanks, Bill.
Thank you so much, Sarah.
I see that you're helping us with the next generation of researchers, Sarah. Thank you so much.
Yeah, they're coming out in pairs now, so we gotta watch out.
Are there any final comments for the open floor component? No? Okay. Well, I guess I have one final piece. Before I hand the discussion over to Bill and Wayne for a final thank you and farewell, I would additionally like to include a final thank you. So working with you both over the last few years has been absolutely amazing. You've both worked absolutely tirelessly to ensure that the different members, whether they be partners with the RPLC project or through RDI, were supported and recognized for all the work that they do. And so on behalf of everyone at RDI, and I'm sure everyone at RPLC would agree with me, I would just like to thank you both for everything you've done over the last few years. And now I will share my screen again, and oh yeah, claps. And we can do the final thank you. Oh, so Bill or Wayne, whoever would like to go first, you can go ahead.
Maybe Bill, I'll jump in. I'll let you have last words here. So I'll keep this really quick. Has been such a fantastic opportunity over the last 7+ years now, since being both part of the proposal development and then coming on at the start of 2015. Just both professionally, it's been amazing. Personally, again, as people have been describing, met so many, not just peers and mentors and colleagues, but so many friends over RPLC as well. So I've learned so much from everybody on this call, and the people that were here before and people that weren't able to be here today, everybody that's been interacting with us in RPLC. And when I've shared this with other colleagues, both people I was doing my PhD with, or in my new role at University of Winnipeg, one of the things that continues to stand out and they continue to be sort of amazed by is that sort of culture that I think Ryan referenced, was that this collegial culture. It's been such an amazing, there's been no drama in terms of, there's no ego, as Sean was talking about. It's just been, just a perfect experience on that front. And I'm just so thankful to work with all of you over the last 7 to 8 years. So I just really appreciate that. And Bill, you know, most of all, thank you for mentoring me on this, and thank you for taking me under your wing twice, I think, you know, both during for RDI and then back when I took on the project coordinator role. And it's been a huge part for me, both professionally and again, as people have said, a huge piece of me both doing and completing my PhD. So thank you to Bill, and thank you to everybody else that has been part of RPLC.
Thanks, Wayne, and Nicole for emceeing this. And thanks to everyone. I just the tone of these conversations that we're having today are indicative over the last 7.5 or so years. And Bill, I want to reach back to our brainstorming in Brandon about the application. And then you and I can remember we were in Burton Arrow. We had a conference, John Devlin, who's not joining us today, but we were asked to present, and we stood on the stage of an old church, if I recall correctly. And we thought this was the best news ever. We've successfully landed $2.5 million. And there was kind of a full stop at certain point of our presentation, because they're going, hang on, what are the conditions? You're only going to be funding Canadians. You're not going to be funding Europeans. What are you talking about this in Italy? And this thing has unfolded. For me, this is my first shirk. It was overwhelming. Bill came out of retirement and said he'll help us. And I'm so blessed to be able to have, again, like everybody has said, in terms of the mentorship side of it. And I really didn't understand completely the collegial atmosphere that universities want to have, not only just with faculty, but with students. Drop the ego, let's start getting things done. And I so like what Kathleen said about that. Bill, and collectively, I think we're all about getting stuff done. From Wayne's point of view, it was about we've inherited in some ways a body of riches here, both in people and in money. And like we've all said, money's secondary, but it sure helps grease the wheel. And we've moved forward in so many different fronts. I, like everyone, I think have really learned. I've moved out of notions of rural that were embedded for me, and for all of my life, and going, wow, there's multiple ways of looking at it. And surprisingly, I think we're in the few. There's not a lot of people that we can collectively share our notions of rural, because they're both diverse and inclusive and wide-ranging and dynamic. And so again, thanks for that kind of work. This is a network that's not going to stop. We know that. We're growing rural researchers every day, and I think it continues to make sure that rural remains on the map, and that there are solutions out there that we're moving forward in terms of public policy. So all of that, just saying thank you very much to all of you. Great effort over the last 7.5 years and through COVID. We had to pivot, Sean, there's your word, and we did well on the pivoting. We employed more students, we pushed more money to students than I think anyone in our financial section of BU ever thought we could, and we did it. So well done to everybody. And I'm hoping we're going to do something again, maybe surf one more time and several more times in terms of meetings. So again, thanks, and thanks for everybody on the call as well.